YNW Melly, his real name is Jamel Demons. He's actually in plain clothes in the courtroom for the first time in months, again, as this judge really starts the long process of seating a new jury.
He decides to flip and become a cheese eater.
Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be.
YNW Melly's court hearings have now begun. The prosecutors aren't going easy this time because the news wrote, rapper YNW Melly is going through a series of court hearings for new evidence the prosecutors want to use in the next trial. Lawyers in the courtroom are worried about how he will find a defense to it all. More to come. This is because the feds want to use a Facebook post of YNW Melly with Young Thug. They're trying to claim that Melly is a part of the same red street team that Young Thug is.
Same thing, the use of the slap term, 5-point star, the snake. He's saying he's YSL, he's hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Demons has the big B hand signs displayed.
Right, and see with individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
Being able to use evidence files from the YSL RICO case to back up their claims of Young Thug being tied to the Red Street team, they're gonna use it to describe YNW Melly's affiliation. This resulted in Melly yelling at his lawyer. It would read, "Today's hearing marks the first time YNW Melly publicly went against his legal team's advisement in open court, where Melly was seen yelling at his lawyer." Those sitting in the seated area of the court hearing overheard what Melly said, and he said, quote, "I don't care. I'm not in no gang. They can't prove that." But they also want to use a new piece of evidence from an ex-O Block member snitching on a secret that Melly told King Von. Before King Von passed and YNW Melly was arrested, the two were best friends. King Von would tell people in O Block that Melly was asking for advice on how to handle certain people. And if you know anything about King Von, you know what he means.
Did Von really tell you that Melly told him that he was two friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Von was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? Walter Bam. I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but you gonna trust that his two friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them?
Why it's so important that they want to use that interview is because it aligns perfectly to what YNW Bortlen's proffer deal will reveal, where it goes and reads, as predicted, YNW Bortlen took the plea deal. He has also agreed to a proffer, which means that he's talking. The sentence is to accessory after the fact, and he'll do 10 years plus 6 years of probation, minus any credit in gain time. We've already requested his deposition in a civil case, where academics would then explain what this truly means. He would write, the judge says on both charges, YNW Bortlen pled no contest. To that, he has to provide a factual basis for him to accept the plea, meaning you have to tell an actual story of how you indeed committed accessory to the crime, which confirms that the crime occurred, which YNW Melly is charged with. This is a gonna plea, except with the proffer, he can't say yes ma'am, he's gotta sing like Franklin.
I did tweet out saying people are upset. I said this is a gonna plea. This is a gonna plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gonna plea. Why do I say he signed a gonna plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they have proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Bortlen, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in. Oh my God, what that proved is that Bortlen worked with someone after he acknowledged that a took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that the happen, and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know they were, and then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a drive-by.
A much easier way to understand academics' message is that Bortlen is required to tell how the crime went down from his own perspective, being somebody inside of the car. Regardless if he says Melly's name, when he tells the police that Sack Chaser and Juvie was affected by a situation that happened inside of the car, then YNW Melly will be found guilty. He doesn't even have to say Melly's name. It would even get the attention of a famous lawyer who would go and react.
All right, let's talk YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive, and he will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip, and it makes the case on YNW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YNW Melly is responsible.
However, at the end of the hearing, YNW Melly's lawyers would try to get him released from jail. Today it was announced Florida rapper YNW Melly was targeted inside of his jail block today. Sources claim that he was targeted for commissary goods and/or block authority. Oftentimes, when someone comes into a new jail block, they either go after the biggest person or the most popular to make a name for themselves. But here's where it gets strange. You may remember when YNW Bortlen accepted his plea deal, an email leaked within the lawyers reading, "Given Mr. Henry's plea deal and proffer agreement, we request his deposition as soon as possible. Given the circumstances, we are concerned for his safety, so would like to facilitate it in the next 30 days. Please advise if you will continue to represent all of the defendants," meaning the prosecutors think that Bortlen was going to get caught lacking in his cell block before delivering an incriminating proffer against Melly. But in all reality, it was YNW Melly who was targeted. Investigators believe that this was all planned. In case you didn't know, YNW Melly is close to receiving a house arrest or a bond agreement. He was so confident about it, he even ordered a $100,000 chain to wear for when he gets out.
I would assume
But it's still,
that he spent a lot of money on lawyers. Like an amount that would probably...
That kid spent a lot of money on a lot of things that shouldn't have been spent on.
Really? Like what else?
And cars, jewelry. And he's not even out to wear the jewelry. I'm like, why are you buying jewelry and you're not here to wear the jewelry?
No, definitely lawyers are probably the best thing you can spend.
That's what
on.
bro. But he's good with lawyers, bro. Like, money ain't an issue for lawyers. Like, he's fine, but it's just like, it was a lot of stuff that should have went to lawyers that he didn't spend on lawyers. And I'm like, bro. And now it's like, he don't even want the chain no more.
Knowing Melly had a high chance of being released from jail, being able to get him while he's still in a cell block where everyone knows where he is was the best case for whoever is going after him. He has a high chance of being released due to Melly suing the county jail and exposing them. It was shared. YNW Melly sues the Broward Sheriff's Office for cruel treatment and is seeking immediate release from prison. Melly claims they have not allowed him to see or speak with family in 3 years. As described by Melly himself, he's been living in a freezing cold jail cell with no edible food or human contact. It was even shared. An interview from Melly's mother paints a photo of Melly's life in jail, making it sound like he won't last much longer, where she would rant over the fact that Melly was granted a mistrial in his case and he still had to stay in jail.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail. They don't give it to him.
If you think Melly should be released, comment down below, because his mom would reveal that she is absolutely heartbroken for her son. She feels helpless because he's not even being treated like a human inside a jail.
When you saw Melly's statement, just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life, as a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. and make me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone too.
This would end up going viral in the rap industry, getting a lot of attention from Charleston White, who would react saying this is what YNW Melly should be living like. He shouldn't get special treatment because he's a famous rapper. He still allegedly committed one of the worst crimes that you can do.
Even the YNW Melly, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing, about being mistreated, when you done chose to play somebody.
Even getting the attention of Boosie, who would speak on the stress that Jamie King has been going through.
Okay, so
then I met his mama while he was in.
Oh, okay.
I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
She's stressed out. I heard she had a.
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him, cause I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro.
This is when the feds would then respond to YNW Melly's lawsuit, doing the unthinkable. They would arrest his ex-girlfriend Mariah Hamilton as she was trying to enter the United States after escaping the US before Melly's original trial began.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
Mariah was trying to re-enter the United States after leaving for the last few years. She escaped before Melly's trial began so she didn't have to testify against him, but when trying to re-enter because she missed her family, she would be quickly arrested at the airport. Sitting in jail then for 2 weeks, the judge would make her a deal, saying if you agree to testify against Melly, you're free to go. She accepted it instantly, making it the worst news possible for YNW Melly. On her car ride home, she would write on Facebook, "To my village, thank you all to my village. I love you all so much. God's plan, not mine," which will seal the deal on YNW Melly's future. This is because of the evidence found on Mariah's iCloud account, where the feds found that Melly forced her to not testify in trial, which is known as witness tampering, by using a jail phone. This carries a life sentence in prison, regardless if Melly actually did the crime to sack chaser in juvie.
The state filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
There's a world where YNW Melly beats the case of sack chaser and juvie's passing, but is found guilty on the witness tampering and still goes to prison for the rest of his life. They found evidence of Melly using a jail phone, continuously calling her every day to leave the United States. This is why they have not allowed him to use a jail phone now for a few years, which is why Melly is suing them in the first place. Even YNW Juvie's father knew that he witness tampered, and he even exposed it to the public.
There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
Saying like to me, they going through extreme measures, try to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah mom. They was using code words like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom. And
when the judge asked the prosecutors to respond to the lawsuit inside of court, not only would they share that evidence I just shared, but they would also share evidence to the judge on why Melly should not be released on a house arrest, starting out with a text message of Melly literally admitting to the crime.
The PC Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
Alongside this, they would show the judge Melly's reaction to his two best friends passing, showing that only 5 hours after the crime took place, Melly was seen dancing in a parking lot recording a music video.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! No, still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
Showing not even an ounce of sadness for the passing of their two best friends, but the next piece of evidence changed everything, where he would show the judge footage of Melly leaving the studio, sitting directly in the back left seat of the Jeep, then waiting for sack chaser Juvie and Bortlen to get in. Why this is important is because the official court document reads, the direction of items traveling from left to right in the car supports the claim that they originated from the back left seat, where YNW Melly was positioned, then sharing with the judge footage of YNW Juvie's mother sharing who was sitting in that seat.
Can you state your name? Your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the kids in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
YNW Melly's lawyers would then be asked if they have any defense, where they would then share with the judge that the prosecutors even admitted there was never a firearm even found.
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what firearm was used.
Okay.
While also sharing a piece of evidence that was found inside of YNW Bortlen's home, raising the question of why would Bortlen get a plea deal and I don't when this evidence was found inside of his closet.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Bortlen was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Cortland Henry, aka Bortlen, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortlen allegedly tampered with the witness.
The news would write, here are the images of alleged notes discovered during the home raid of YNW Bortlen's home last week, as filed into the Broward clerks by the state, were these photos of Bortlen detailing where certain jurors were sitting with a description of what they looked like. When YNW Bortlen showed up to Melly's original trial for the first day, he would take a mental note of where all the jurors were sitting and what they looked like. He went home and drew it on a piece of paper, making it seem as if these jurors found his best friend guilty, he was about to go slide.
To keep it real, this is sloppy. Bortlen, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.